Hi friends, welcome to episode 10 of the Sam Sweet Craftcast. I'm back! Sorry for the prolonged break again. If you are a new viewer, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And I'm so excited that you are choosing to spend some crafty time with me. My name is Sam. I'm coming to you from my living room just outside the city of Chicago, where I live with my husband and my two crazy little redheaded boys and my dog. I am so excited to talk to you. It has been too long and I have way too much stuff to show you tonight. So, I think we're just gonna jump in. I hope you guys are ready. I hope you have something warm to drink and some project to work on because I have a lot. I've meant to record this episode like 10 times in the past 2 months and it just hasn't happened because life has been crazy and it is hard to find hours in the day when I don't have children running around screaming. So here we are after bedtime and I've got a lot. So let's jump in. I think I will start with finished objects. I have a lot of finished objects, though not a lot of them are still here, but I will pop in pictures where I can. You'll have to, excuse me, my show notes are on my phone today. I didn't write them down. So my first finished object that I don't have here, is my Astrid Ruana that I showed the yarn for last time. And I made that for my mom as a birthday present. It's a paid-for pattern by TLYarnCrafts. And it was fantastic. It's a one-size-fits-all, so I didn't have to worry about sizing and measuring and all of that. I made it out of Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton in a their dark charcoaly gray and a deep red. And I don't have any of the ball bands with me, so that's the best approximation of the color names I can give you, though I think all of the specific notes are on my Ravelry page. It turned out beautifully. I loved it. I had no issues with the pattern. It was really a very fast make. It was just a great experience. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. The only thing I will say is making it with the cotton was maybe not the best choice. I wanted it to be cotton because my mom doesn't like really hot things, and I thought acrylic, I just don't really like working with acrylic that much, so I didn't want to. And I didn't want to do wool because I thought that would be too hot for her. So I went with the cotton, though the pieces worked, you work half of it from the back, no, you work one panel and then it you seam up the side, and then you attach a chain, you work into the starting chain again and then work the other half. That was a confusing way of describing that. I hope that made sense, somewhat. So basically you work into the starting chain on both sides of it. Because of that, I realized after I finished it that I should have done a foundation starting chain instead of a regular chain. And I think with acrylic or wool it wouldn't have been a problem, but with cotton it just didn't have enough give to it. So when I wore it personally, because I am a tiny human, there was a pretty significant pull on the back that I just didn't like the way it hung on me, but it worked great on my mom. So I had a great experience with that pattern. I highly recommend it. You should go check her out. I'm sure you were following her on Instagram because she's huge. She has an amazing platform and has some really beautiful patterns. Yeah, I loved it. My mom was very happy with it. She has gotten a lot of compliments on it, she tells me. And she says people are always very surprised when she tells them that I made it, which always feels good. Like, I feel like there's that level of compliment of like, oh, did you make that? And then there's the, oh, I really like your sweater. Oh, really, it's homemade. Like, I prefer for people to not realize straight off the bat that the things I'm wearing are homemade. So that makes me happy that she is happy with it and that people like it. So yeah, that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2. What do I have here? Sorry, I have a fuzzy in my mouth. Oh, this one I have. This, guys. I've been wearing this thing non-stop for the past 2 months, probably. I am obsessed with it. I made it in like 3 days, and it was, I'm so happy with it. I've not been this happy with a hat project in a really long time. So, without further ado, this is my Lacy Leaves hat. So I'm sorry I can't show it to you when it was all fresh and nice. There are pictures on my Instagram if you want to go look at before it had been worn for 2 months straight every day. There's the stitch pattern there. And then it's got the gathered top here. And I'll show you what it looks like on. I'm not traditionally a hat person. I'm very happy with this one, as long as my hair is sticking out a little bit. I actually didn't make the slouchy version, but as you can see, it's quite slouchy. So I'm glad I opted to not make the slouchy version, because if I made it slouchy, it would be huge. This is the Malabrigo. I have the ball band here somewhere. I found it. So this is how much I have left. This is what it looked like skeined up. And this was a gift from my fiber share box that I got in the spring from Sydney. Hi, Sydney! So this is the Malabrigo fingering weight, Machita. Is this colorway? Is that the colorway? Maybe that's the colorway. Machita. Either way. I think it's beautiful. It reminds me of like Starry Night, and like a really beautiful watercolor. She's got so many like shades of blue and green in there. So we have quite a bit left here. So I had a full skein. I haven't weighed this, so I don't know how much is left, but I'd say probably half at least. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't need another of this exact hat, so I could probably get a second one out of this. This is a free pattern. It is by the Knotty Magpie. You can find her on Instagram, and this is available on Ravelry. It's really great. It's super easy. The pattern in it is just it's just all double crochets and chains to make this pattern. The pattern repeat is pretty simple. Once I got through it a couple times, I was able to kind of read my work and know what I was doing next, so I wasn't having to focus so much on the pattern. And like I said, I'm so happy with it. I think I'm going to keep it on because I've actually been wearing it all day, so my hair it's not doing great. So yeah, this is my everyday beanie. But I've been looking for a good fingering weight hat to wear through the fall. And specifically to take on vacation with us. We went to New York and Boston for a week, and I wanted a lightweight hat that I could wear around while we're walking around outside. So that's what this was, and I'm so happy with it. So thank you, Sydney, for the yarn. It's the perfect match for this hat. You should go check out this pattern. And let me know if you make it, because I don't think enough people have made this hat. It doesn't have a ton of projects on Ravelry, so I want it to get a little more attention because it's awesome. It's a great free pattern. What is my next finished object? I made another Finley cabled crochet hat by Lakeside Loops, which I made a couple months ago for a friend. And when we were in New York, we were visiting some friends of ours that we hadn't seen in 7 years, I think we figured out it had been. But he was in our wedding, he was my husband's roommate in college, and they're just good friends, and that kind of friendship that, like, even though we don't talk often and we haven't seen each other in forever, we can just pick right back up where we left off, and it was like no time had passed. So that was really fun, but they just had a baby, and he was 4 months old, and so I made him a little hat for the frigid New York winters. And I'll pop a picture of that up here. That one was made with another Malabrigo, because that's what I do. And this colorway was, so here's the yarn, and I thought this was just such a great, like, little boy color. It's so bright and so pretty, but not, I don't know, little boy stuff can get boring. So I thought this was really fun. This is the Malabrigo Rios, which is their worsted weight, and this colorway is Indicita. Do you see that? So, and again, I have a good amount left, a little bit, probably not half a skein, but I also haven't weighed this one. I know I mentioned this last time when I was talking about that hat pattern. The yardage is off in the pattern. It uses way less yardage than it says it does, especially for the little sizes. I don't know for the big sizes. I don't know if I didn't get gauge, because if I'm honest, I didn't check if I was getting gauge. But basically, I was trying to make I don't remember. Trying to make one size, and then I followed the directions, and I got to like where the band was made, and I measured it flat and I measured it stretched, and it was still like 2 inches shorter than it should have been. So I just bumped up to the next size up and followed the directions for like either the second largest or the third largest, like not the newborn, not the 0 to 3 months. Maybe I did the 3 to 6 months. I can't remember. But I would just say measure. Maybe check your gauge. Be a smarter crocheter than I am. I don't know why I don't check my gauge. I don't like to. I would almost rather just make something and realize it's off and frog it than check my gauge, and that's silly. But that's what I do. So anyways, that hat was very well received. She was very happy with it. I got a super cute picture of him wearing the hat, which made me really happy. So I was very happy to see them and very happy to gift them that hat. I also made another baby hat, also by Lakeside Loops, which I also don't have. That one was the Kingsley hat, which I'll pop a picture up here. I made that with wool spun in their purple, and the pom-pom is wool spun in the dark gray. And the pattern is written for that to be a two-tone beanie, where like the top is one color and the bottom is another color. I didn't do that. I just made it one color. So very simple pattern. I won't tell you how it's made because it's very simple. It's slightly more complicated if you do it two color, but if you just do it one color, then it's very simple. But I mean, very well written, very well put together, and I was very happy that I purchased it because, again, a designer did the work for me and I didn't have to do the math and measure and decide how big I wanted to make it. I just followed her instructions. So it's a very good pattern, but it's super easy. If you can do basic stitches, you can make this hat. It's worked flat and then seamed and then cinched up at the top, and I added a giant pom-pom because baby hats are better with giant pom-poms. So that one went to a friend of mine who is about to have her second baby, who is a little girl. She has a little boy, and this is the little girl, so I love making little girl stuff because I don't get the chance to very often. So that was a fun project. My next hat, I have another hat that I made for me. This was my project that I was working on while I was in New York and Boston. It is a very good traveling project. So this, mind you, I just realized there's an end that I have not weaved in here, and I've been wearing this. So that's how much I pay attention to that. Oh! Oh dear. I just broke it a little bit. Hold on. Alright, I'll have to figure that out later. This is the Mirage Hat Cowl by Hannah at the Cozy Cottage Crochet. This is one of her recent patterns. It's supposed to have 2 pom-poms here, and I don't know where that pom-pom went. I clearly did not attach it very well. Well, so this is a convertible pattern. We'll take the hat off. You can wear it as a cowl, and it's very cozy, very snuggly, nice and close up. You can pull it over, and then if you don't want it as a cowl, or if your ears get cold, ooh, it's fun here. You just cinch it up and then tie it. And this can also be a messy bun hat, but I have never in my life had enough hair to make a bun on the top of my head, so I just wear it as a regular hat. Put the end I haven't woven in at the back. So this is a nice, warm, cozy, single pom-pom hat. I really liked when it had 2 pom-poms. I'm going to have to go find that one. It's either somewhere in this pile of stuff over here, and I'll find it later in the episode, or it's somewhere up in my room where this hat was, as I was frantically grabbing everything for the podcast. This yarn was dyed by Kalisha of the Quirky Monday Craft Cast, and she very kindly sent it to me earlier this year. I don't remember what the base is. I think it's an acrylic yarn that she dyed, just a variegated. I think it was already variegated and she over-dyed it. I don't remember the details of this yarn. But anyways, she gifted me the yarn, and Hannah gifted me the hat, the pattern. So this is my Yarny Friends hat. It makes me so happy. So thank you, Kalisha, and thank you, Hannah. I highly recommend this pattern as well. It was so much fun. It was very easy make, very fun to work on. Great traveling crochet because it's pretty mindless. It's not like it has row repeats or pattern repeats, and the texture on it is beautiful. It is made in the herringbone half double crochet, which is not my favorite stitch, but by about halfway through the hat I had gotten used to it. I don't do that stitch well. It doesn't come easy to me, so I have to like kind of concentrate on working each stitch. But like I said, great traveling crochet. I can hold a conversation, I can put it down and pick it up. Really fun. And it used an entire skein, so I had none left over, because you use whatever you have left to make your pom-poms. I think this is the second size of the clover pom-poms, not the teeny one, but the one right above that. So I will get that other pom-pom and reattach it. But yeah, this has been a great winter hat, great for wearing out in the snow. My next finished object, I made a hungry caterpillar hat for my son for his Halloween costume. And I didn't grab that, and I don't know where it is. he's been wearing it everywhere, and I did not make it like sustainable. I meant it to be a one-time use thing, and he's been wearing it, and so it's kind of falling apart. Let me, hold on, I found it. It was in the hat bin. Here is the Very Hungry Caterpillar hat with tassels. And this is what I mean by it's not, I didn't mean for it to stay. These are not held up very well. I attached them inside with pipe cleaners that I didn't even, like, those are the pipe cleaners right there. They're like falling out, and he's complaining that they're poking him in his head, and I was like, well, I didn't mean for you to keep wearing it, but, so I might kind of upgrade it and fix the antenna. He was so cute. He made a very, very cute hungry caterpillar, and then the little one, my youngest, we made him the leaf. So we had the hungry caterpillar and the leaf. They were very cute. They were the hit of the neighborhood. So yes, my son, being a very literal child, was very upset that I put tassels on the hat because caterpillars do not have tassels. And he kept trying to tuck them inside the costume. So I had to slightly insist that he not do that, and that it's okay if he's not 100% accurate. He was also mad that I put a face on it, because then he had eyes on the top of his head and eyes on his face, and people might be confused. So that was 5 is a fun age. That is just made with acrylic yarn from Michael's. Their loops and threads, I think, impeccable. And yeah, I whipped it up in one evening and then sewed on all the pieces the next afternoon. I think I was actually working on that during I joined in on the global crochet hookup with the Crochet Circle podcast again. It was so much fun. If you are ever free when Faye is hosting one of those, you should totally join. It's a great time to just connect with crafters from all over the world. If you want to talk to people you follow on Instagram, you get a chance to actually see what they're working on and have a conversation. So it's a lot of fun. What other finished objects do I have? I told you I have a lot. I've already been talking for a good long while, and we are still in finished objects. Okay, I have 2 more. This one I'm very excited about. So amid all of the craziness of Christmas and making things for other people and gifting things, I also have to just work on things for myself, because I don't know, I'm in a very selfish crochet phase, and if I'm not working on something for me, I get very bored with making things for other people. So this is my Celtic cowl. This is a paid-for pattern by Mamachee on Ravelry. It is gorgeous. Look at that. Oh. Look how pretty that is. So it's a crochet brioche, just with shaping in there to make the kind of points. It's very snug, very cozy, very warm. I'm not sure it's a super practical, like, just wear around cowl, though I do, because I love it. But it's super cozy underneath a coat, bundled up against the snow. We got like 8 inches of snow Sunday night and Monday morning, so I was glad I had this when I had to go back to work on Tuesday. I had to stay home on Monday because my son had a snow day. But yes, this is the Celtic cowl, and you should definitely go check her out on, she's on Instagram, I don't think she's super active on Instagram, but she has some great patterns on Ravelry, and discount if you buy 2 or more. I loved this pattern. I did not have a single issue with it, though again, I would say, like, I've done this technique of crochet brioche before, so I knew how to do it. So it's not a beginner pattern, but it's not a super advanced pattern. So if you are confident with post stitches you can make this. Just have to take your time, figure out what you're doing with the different colors, and then once you get going, it works up super fast. So yes, this is my Celtic cowl. Ooh. So, and then these colors, save my ball bands. I have some left of these too. So these are the colors I use. These are Madeline Tosh. This one is Dopamine, and this is the Tosh DK. I feel like it's not quite accurate in this light. It's a very like bright pale blue. Is that how you describe it? It actually matches my nails perfectly. But yeah, I saw this in the store. I think I talked about this on my last episode, and it just called out to me and said, you need me, you need to buy me right away. And I said, hold on, yarn, I need to figure out what you're gonna be before I buy you. So I went home and I went through my queue and I saw this pattern and I was like, that's it, that's the one. And then the second color, this kind of black with some deep browns in it, is Birkenstick. So, I mean, it's Madeline Tosh, so you have to love it. It's so squishy. And then, I haven't weighed these. I don't know how much this is, but I've got a good little stack of partial balls of yarn now that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I think I could get a baby hat out of one of these, maybe. We'll see. We will see. So, this is probably, this and the hat, obviously, the things I made for myself are what I'm most happy with my finished objects. I have one more to show you. It's a little ridiculous. First, I have to give a disclaimer. So, Sarah, if you are watching this, which you have told me that you don't, but if you lied to me, you need to turn it off now and just go away. I will know. So this is a gift from my sister-in-law, Sarah, who is not a crafter. No, that's not true. She's a crafter. She's not a knitter or crocheter, but she follows me on Instagram. So I can't share this there until after I give it to her. So, but I can share it with you here because she has promised me she does not watch the podcast. Okay. Sarah, if you are watching and you ruin your own Christmas present, it's all on you. I showed this yarn off in the last episode. This is Bernat Blanket Big, which, if you'll remember, was the gigantic balls of yarn. And it's not the regular Bernat blanket, it's big, so it's very thick. It is 32 yards in a skein, and I used 6 of them. So, still less than 200 yards total for this. Alright, you ready? Hold up. It's so big. Let me untie it. So this is the yarn. This is how thick that yarn is. For comparison, this is a worsted weight, and this is the jumbo, gigantic yarn. I have tied it up, and I'm keeping it out of reach of my children and my dog. But I will open it up to show you. This. Guys, it's so big. It's so giant. Oh, look, you can't even see. So it's like, I measured it. What is it? 46 by like 32 inches. Oof. So it's like a nice lap gown throw blanket. It's so ridiculously big and squishy, and I love it so much. Yeah, so this is Bernat Blanket Big, and I held it double, and I arm knitted it. If you've ever done arm knitting, you will know it's super fast. So this took me, I cast it on. I was watching an episode of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. I cast it on when I started the episode, and it was done 45 minutes later. Not counting weaving in the ends, so that took an extra like 3 minutes. So I mean, it took not even one podcast to make this. That doesn't count the amount of time it took me to ball it up. So I have put in my Ravelry notes how I made this blanket, but I will tell you here. This is so warm and cozy. I haven't actually wrapped up in it yet. I'm actually really sad I'm not keeping this. It's like being wrapped in a marshmallow. I love it. What color? Did I tell you the color? This is their colorway Taupe Coffee. And, yes. So, this yarn I got from Michaels. It's actually on sale right now, so if you too want to make a giant marshmallow blanket, hurry on over to Michaels and get yourself 6 skeins of it. So, here's how I made it. Well, first, I was going to knit it, regular knitting, and I bought these massive needles, 25 millimeter, and I did 3 rows, knitting single, 1 strand, and it was awful. It was horrendous. This yarn does not have give to it. You can't pull it, or it can snap on you, just like the regular Bernat blanket. It was so painfully slow to knit with, and it was like hurting my arms to like manipulate it. I think if I had used maybe 35 millimeter, it would have been fine. The ball band said 25 millimeter, so I trusted the ball band, and I shouldn't have. But I didn't want to go buy a second set of gigantic circular needles that I will likely never use again. And I knew I liked arm knitting, so I started arm knitting during nap time one day. And I tried it with a single strand, and it was too loosey-goosey. It was just all over the place. It was not consistent. So I double-stranded it, and I cast it on, and I knit through all 6 balls. And it was like just wrong. I had cast on too many, and so it was like shorter than it was wide, so it looked like a sideways blanket, like I had knitted it sideways. So I frogged that, which was fine, because again, it had taken me less than an hour to do, and I had made a couple mistakes along the way, because I hadn't arm knitted in a long time, and my tension like was changing from beginning to end. So I frogged it all, but as I frogged it, because the first time I was just pulling from the 2 balls separately, and so as I frogged it, I balled them up, double-stranded, into the most gigantic yarn ball. I mean, we're talking, like, I can't even get on the screen how big this yarn ball was. It was enormous. It was so much fun. And then I attached the subsequent skeins with the magic knot, which I had never used before, and I'm always very skeptical of. But again, this yarn already had knots in it. Like, it's 32 yards. Why are you putting knots? This is my biggest pet peeve about big box store yarns. I don't want to find knots in the middle of it. And there was one skein that had like 2 knots in it. It's 32 yards. You can't give me 32 continuous yards of yarn. Really? Anyways, I figured it was going to be okay to use magic knot, because I'm pretty sure that's what they use when they knot them together in the yarn factories. So I did that. You can see a couple places where the knot is, but I think that's just the nature of having a handmade blanket. Anyways, so if you too want to make one, here's what I suggest you do. Make a giant ball of yarn with 6 skeins held double, and magic loop, magic knot them together at the ends. So you have the world's biggest ball of yarn, and then cast on 15 on your arm, which was, it was right about here. I knew it was going to be bad the first time because I was like, I couldn't fit it all in my forearm, and you can't go past your elbow when you're arm knitting. So cast on 15 on your arm, and then magically arm knit it until you run out of yarn, and then bind off. So guys, you know I don't knit. And the main reason I don't knit is because I can't fix anything if I mess it up. With crochet, you just pull it out and you pick it back up. With knitting, things fall off the needle, I'm done. I am done. If I made a mistake, I am leaving it because it will be there forever and I cannot do anything about it. Knitting is not my thing. So, I got to the end and I like estimated, I was like, I think I have enough to do one more row and then I'll bind off. I had 3 stitches left and I was out of yarn for binding off. So I successfully didn't panic and I tinked. Is that the word? When you like unknit? I tinked back my bind off, put it back on my arm, tinked back 1 row, and then bound off. I have never successfully unknit anything, so I was pretty impressed that I was able to do it. I think I could only do it because you're arm knitting, you can see so clearly exactly what you're doing with each strand, and it was so gigantic that I could like follow it back and know where to put my arm back onto the previous loop. So I was very nervous that I was going to ruin the whole thing and have to start over again, but I didn't. So yeah, I arm knit a blanket. The only thing that I would probably do differently is, I don't know if you can do a long tail cast on with arm knitting. I've never done one, but I think I would prefer it with a long tail cast on because the cast on edge is very loosey-goosey compared to the bind off, and I don't love that. But basically, I just want to stay wrapped up in this forever and for always. It is amazing. And you know, everyone makes, all over Instagram and the internet and Pinterest, I see these giant wool blankets that look like this. But you know, if you like touch that, it's going to fuzz and felt, and it's going to look awful after like 5 minutes of use. So it's impractical. And that wool costs like, you have to use a full sheep's worth of wool. Like, that's ridiculous. So I was very happy to see this yarn. I think it is an excellent alternative because it's not going to fuzz up because it's polyester. It's polyester. I mean, it's not made from a sheep, that's for sure. Yes, 100% polyester. So it's not going to get pilly or fall apart on you. I still wouldn't like put it in the washing machine just because it's a pretty loose knit. But yeah, this is my giant blanket. It's actually really cold in my house. I'm tempted to just keep this on for the rest of the episode. But I think I'll take it off because I look a little ridiculous. But I'm super warm. I might just keep it on my lap. Maybe we'll do that. We won't have to tell Sarah that I've broken in her blanket. So yeah, I think that's my last official finished object. You consult my list. That's all of them. That's a lot. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 finished objects. I'm kind of impressed. I hadn't counted them up before now. I don't usually make that much. It must be that time of year. Now I have my works in progress. So this one was intended to be a birthday present. I didn't get finished in time, but she has a birthday in November, so it's just going to turn into a Christmas present. This is the Nevron Hat, which is a paid-for pattern available on Ravelry, and it also comes with a bonus cup cozy pattern. This is for my other sister-in-law. This is the Nevron Hat by Victoria Gogola. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So that is the hat. Kind of hard to see in black and white, but it's like a chevron pattern with a really fun cable in the front. So I'm like 90% done with it, but I haven't touched it in weeks because I'm a little frustrated with it, to be honest. So it's worked flat and then seamed up along the bottom and then cinched up at the top. So first of all, I'll show you flat. So here we have it, alternating with this red and gray. And then here's the cable at the edge. So it's a fun, just two braid cables next to each other. I really like the look of the cable. So I finished it according to the pattern, and I seamed it up, and it was way too small. Like I couldn't get my head in it, and I have a tiny head. So essentially it will go like this. So it'll seam up, and then these, I'll attach pom-poms to these little strappies. And then there will also be a pom-pom attached at the back where I cinch it up at that hole here. Whew. This is like the hat episode. I've never put on so many hats. So anyways, when I seamed up the side, the bottom, I could not get my head in it at all. It just made way too small of an opening. So I don't know if that's an issue of gauge, if I'm misunderstood the directions and I'm not supposed to seam the full bottom, because that is possible, I suppose. I don't think that part was very clear. Regardless, so I'm adding another stripe of the gray, which is just going to mean that the gray, that it won't alternate at the bottom. It will be, that one gray stripe will be twice as wide. Unless it turns out that I need to also add another row of red, in which case it will continue. So we will see. I've been a little mad at this pattern. My husband just came home. You can come in. He's like standing awkwardly outside the door, I think waiting for me to stop talking. I've got so much more to say. Silly husbands. I'm back. So, yes, I was talking about this pattern. I've been mad at the hat for not being done already, so I haven't been working on it. So, I will pick it back up soon, and we will be on our way. So it's a really cute pattern, and I'm hoping it turns out well. So, stay tuned. This is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill 100% acrylic from Hobby Lobby. This is the colorway Burgundy, and the gray is the colorway Dark Gray. Very creative naming process. So that is the Nevron Hat. It is living in my bento bag that my mom made me. My only other active work in progress that I have is another pumpkin spice beanie by Rachy Newin. I made a pumpkin spice beanie for my youngest, which I showed off in my last episode. I don't think it was actually quite finished in my last episode, so that's another finished object, but I'm not going to show it to you again because it's actually outside because he dropped it in the garage in a puddle, and so I left it there. But it turned out really cute. except that I should have made it slightly larger for him. It kind of like cones up on the top of his head, but that's fine. So I'm making a second one for a friend of mine who is having a baby. So this is the newborn size. And I made this one a 2-color. The pattern is written for 3-color, and I did 3-color the last time, but I'm really liking it in the 2-color. I love this spiral at the top here. I think it makes it really interesting for, I'm not putting a pom-pom on this one, and so I really like the design at the top of the hat to show that off. So this is the newborn size. I'm just, again, have to do the brim on this one, and I think I'm going to do the brim slightly differently than I did my son's. I did a front post, back post ribbing. I think this one I'm just going to do a couple rows of single crochet or maybe slip stitch. So anyways, it's so cute. I love it. This is Patton's Classic DK Superwash that I got at Tuesday morning, so I don't know if they still make it. It's medium gray rag. I don't know. It's the black and white twist. And then this is actually just leftovers from my son's hat, which is another DK or sport weight acrylic wool blend. So I'm very happy with this. I think I'm going to block it or soak it at least just to soften it up a little bit, because this wool is a little bit scratchy, but this is a winter baby. I think it's a January baby, late December, early January, so it's going to be cold. So I wanted it to be extra warm, and the double layer of this brioche makes it super cozy, and it's actually reversible if you wanted to just have a striped hat. That's what the inside of this crochet brioche technique looks like, and that's the same as, it's the same technique as my cowl, and I can show you the inside of that one. So that one's just wavy lines. So there you go, versatile, reversible. So that will be finished soon and off to its new little baby head, and it's living in my Quirky Monday Craft Gas bag with my little coffee pin. This is my like constant project bag. Any new project I start, I kick out whatever is in here, and that becomes my project bag. I have also been working on, these are works in progress. Some of them are finished, but I'm calling them works in progress because I need to make more of them. So I'm working on mason jar cozies as gifts for a couple friends and as teacher gifts for my son's teachers. So I have these drinkable lids for mason jars, which, not this one, but I have drinkable lids, and I make little cozies for them. So these are just made with cotton, the sugar and cream cotton that I have a ton of in my stash. I've been making these for a while, and I usually just kind of make them up as I go, and I use a different stitch pattern every time. So this set I'm making in moss stitch. Which I really love the way that's coming out. This one I did two-tone because I didn't have enough of this gray. And I have a brown one, and I have a navy blue one, and I need to make at least 2 more. But I had a stroke of inspiration as I was planning on making these. So I've made these over the years a lot of times, and the cotton just gets stretchy and loose over time, and you wash it and it just becomes kind of, it doesn't stay on as well, and they start to slip down. So I was trying to think of a way to combat that, and I bought a pack of hair ties. So these are the super thin little hair ties, and when I had done my last row, I just attached a hair tie and did a row of single crochet over each stitch and into each chain to fully enclose the hair tie. So it's stretchy, so that when it's on the mason jar, it sticks. So they're a little harder to get on because you have to stretch it around it, but then it doesn't fall off. So I was very happy with my little inspiration. So yeah, these are going to be teacher gifts. I'm going to fill them with, I haven't decided if I want to fill them with tea bags or candy, and put a gift card to a local coffee shop. So that will be, those will be finished soon. And I'm happy to actually be on top of the game and have presents for the teachers, because last year in preschool I intended to, and I did not. So that is work in progress number 3. It's kind of like a half object. I'm also trying to decide if I want to do some applique, like crochet appliques to put on the side. I was thinking about using some of my leftover pretty yarn to match with them. So that is that. The only other thing I have a design in progress. So this, I was driving. I was driving home from my parents' house, and I just got this like little niggling of an idea. But because I was driving for 2 hours, I had nothing to do but think about it. And so we got home, and I grabbed the closest ball of yarn and started test swatching. And I think I like the way it's come out. So this is my prototype, and I'm going to do some revisions, and I'm going to re-test it in a different weight of yarn. But this is a kerchief scarf. With a cabled edge. And then I roll down this to kind of, so it's like a mock shawl, because it's got that dip to it, but then you don't have to wrap it around. So yeah, that's my latest design in progress. I'm not 100% sure that this is exactly what it's going to look like when I'm finished with the design. I want to test it out in bulky weight. So this is a sport weight yarn that I got from Tuesday morning, and I have lost the ball band for. I think it's downstairs somewhere. But it was a 240 yard skein, and it used probably half that. I'll show it to you up close. This really just took me a couple days to whip up, so it was a pretty fast make. So this is the cabled edging. It's just a 2 cable braid. And then the kerchief part is camel stitch. And it's just made in a giant triangle and then connected at the back to make it into the kerchief. So, what do you think? Yes? New design? I think I'm going to do it in bulky weight next and see what I like better. Or maybe I'll release it in both weights, who knows. I want to mess with the beginning part here. I'm not happy with how this kind of angles out away from the kerchief. So yeah, those are my next steps on this, and then I will write it up, and if you are interested in testing this for me, let me know. Reach out, and I would be happy to have some testers. So yeah, look for that soon. I don't know when, because I have lots of things to do right now. This was like not the appropriate time for me to start a new project without knowing what I was doing and create a new design, but that is how I do things. I am a procrastinator, so instead of working on the 4 different things I needed to work on, I did this. But like I said, when I have ideas like this, I have to get them out of my head, and I can't just get them onto paper because then they will disappear. Not that the paper will disappear, though that is likely. I just kind of lose the vision for where I was going with it and what I wanted to do with it. So I have to at least get them started, and I probably could have just made this much and been fine, and then I could have put it down and picked it up later. But I kept going because I was procrastinating. So anyways, let me know what you think down below in the comments. So that's my design in progress. That's my last work in progress. Acquisitions, and then we're done. So as I said, I went to Boston and New York. We were in New York for the marathon. My sister-in-law, who I'm making the hat for, was running the New York Marathon, so we were there to cheer her on, and that was a lot of fun. But I didn't have time to go to any yarn stores. I really wanted to go to, what's it called? Knitty City? I don't remember. There were two that I really wanted to go visit, but we just didn't have time. But in Boston, I had told my husband I wanted to go to some yarn stores while we were on this trip, and because I like to get souvenir yarn. And he surprised me with a stop at this lovely little place called New England Farm to Fiber. And it is inside the Boston Public Market. It's very small. It's a tiny little like booth in this really fun little market. And they have they source yarn exclusively from very local to them farms. This is their little card that they gave me. And it's an all-natural farm yarn company specializing in single heritage sheep brands from small family farms throughout New England. They also sell online, and I will link to them down below, but it was so cute. And it, for the most part, completely undyed yarns. They did have a couple that were like very slightly dyed and kind of uniquely spun. But for the most part, they were all natural, and they had some kits, though they were all knitting kits, as you will typically find at yarn stores. But this is what I got from. So this is from Biltmore Wool Barn, and it is. It's in Brewster, Massachusetts. It is 100% alpaca. It is approximately 330 yards. I think they had it listed as a sport weight. It's slightly thinner than a sport weight, I think, but not a fingering. So it is so soft. Like if you could squish this yarn, I love it so much. It's so cozy. So I think I want this to be like an infinity scarf, a big loopy one, because I want this close to my face, because it's so soft. And this is undyed, so there is a beautiful, beautiful gray alpaca just wandering around somewhere in Massachusetts on a farm. I love it. I love this so much. And then I bought a little project bag from them, obviously, as another souvenir. So stay tuned for what this turns into. I don't know. I'm very happy with it. And then we went to another yarn store down the road called Newbury Yarns. And I picked up this beauty. So this is Dips, which is dyed exclusively for Newbury Yarns. one-of-a-kind luxury fibers hand-painted in small batches in our Boston studio. It's a fingering 80/20 merino nylon, 410 yards. So I don't think it has a colorway because they're just, yeah, no colorway listed. But I mean, look at those blues. I had to buy it. It's not quite as soft as the alpaca, obviously, because it's sheep, but it's so pretty. And I did for a minute think about pairing them together because they do go very well together, but this is too soft to be paired with anything, and it needs to just live by itself around my neck. So I also don't know what this will be. I think probably a one skein shawl. We'll see. Unless I find something I really want to pair it with. I could make socks with it. I had every intention of doing the sock along with the Crochet Circle podcast. And I actually did start a pair of socks. The same pair of socks that I started in July. And I just could not get gauge, and I just didn't feel like messing with it. And then I ran out of time. So I bought several sock patterns for the sock along, so I will at some point make some crocheted socks. But I don't know that I want to use this pretty yarn to go on my feet and walk around my house and collect dog hair. So we will see. We will see what both of those turn into, but those are my souvenir yarns. And then we also stopped at this really cute little used bookstore, which is apparently the oldest used bookstore in America, called the Brattle Bookshop, and I found for $1 this book, Vintage Modern Crochet. I bought it. I really haven't even looked through it, because we bought it like on our way out of town, basically. But I figured for $1, if I find one pattern that I like in it, then that's worth it, and if not, it was $1. This is a very cute little flower pattern for a headband. I like that. The wrap. Oh, so this is an interweave book. There was one pattern that I saw as I was flipping through before I bought it. I did not mark it. It's got some filet patterns, some lace patterns. Oh, this one. Look at that pullover. I think that's very pretty. I'm not 100% sure it's my style, but I might make it my style. So yeah, Vintage Modern Crochet, so maybe some patterns in 2019 will come from that one. So those are my main acquisitions. I've been pretty good about not buying yarn because I have a lot right now and have a lot of things that I'm working through. Though I went to Hobby Lobby on Black Friday because I needed one skein of dark blue cotton that I didn't have, and so I stopped by to pick that up. And their yarn was not on sale on Black Friday. I bought full price yarn on Black Friday. I think that's very silly, but it's cheap still. So I picked out my next project, I think, for me. Pardon my rustling. Is going to be the Puppy Love Shawl by Kalisha at the Quirky Monday Craftcast. And if you haven't seen that shawl, it is beautiful and you need to go check it out. But so I finally picked out my colors for it. This is Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn in Antique Teal and Glacier. I love those two together. Oh, I just lost my gray. And Gray Beard. So these three together are going to be my puppy love shawl, and I will probably cast that on, well, whenever I get through my Christmas list. So, that is all my acquisitions. I have one upcoming project, just one. Yep. I have one upcoming project that will be a present, and that is going to be the Garden Grows hat, which is also by Mamachee, and that is going to be made with these two colors. So this is Midnight Blues dyed by my friend Gina over at Squish This Yarns, who is not currently dyeing yarn, but I snagged this one a long time ago. And this one is, I got this at YarnCon, specifically to go with this, to make this hat. I've been planning on making this hat all year long, and I have not got to it yet, so fingers crossed I will have started it soon. Whew. I think that's everything. That was a lot. Thanks for sitting with me. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you are having a really great holiday season and that it's full of family and fun and not stressful. And I hope that if you like snow, it is snowy where you are. I personally am not a fan of the snow, though it is quite snowy here where I am. But we're dealing. It's fine. I hope you are having a great season. I hope you have lots of fun, crafty goodies to work on. I will do my very, very best to pop back on here before Christmas so that I can show you my finished objects. I have a couple more things that I'm hoping to do. We'll see. I still have those amigurumis I was making for my boys for Valentine's Day that I didn't finish, and then now they're just in a bag downstairs, like, mocking me. So I'm hoping to finish those, but we'll see. I'm not making promises. But yeah, that's all my yarn. I hope you're having a great, great season, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what your favorite holiday tradition is, whatever holiday you are celebrating. And I give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you'll be notified when I get around to posting episode 11. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye!